Need a second?
Second.
Mr. Johnson.
Was that David Donofrio seconding?
Yes.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. Caldwell.
Yes.
Mr. Donofrio.
Yes.
Mr. Ragland.
Yes.
Mr. Shriner.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Now we need a motion to approve the 2 sets of minutes from January 4th, 2021, the organizational and the regular meetings.
Shriner.
Thank you. We need a second.
Ragland.
Thank you. Are there any questions or corrections for these? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Shriner.
Yes.
Ragland.
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell.
Yes.
Donofrio.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes. And now this evening, we have 2 of my favorite presentations. We'll start first with Mr. Cox for transportation.
Good evening, President Johnson, Vice President Ragland, board members, Dr. Wise, Mr. Garside. Thanks for having us tonight. I appreciate all your support. This has definitely been a different year, and this is a different setting for us to do tonight. So hopefully it will go rather smooth. My agenda tonight, I'm going to talk basically about general information, staffing numbers, our routes and runs, transportation schools that we go to, our layered safety protocols, our hand sanitizers on bus, how to disinfect the school bus, calendar during pandemic, our EPA grant, microbird bus, which I'm going to explain, which I'm pretty excited about, additional information and questions. So the first part is general information. Our student enrollment's around 21,000, a little over. Our students transport per day, it says 6,760, but when we split from blue to green, that is about what we transport for the blue kids, and then another 6,000 plus for the green kids. And then you all know our district square miles is 119. Last year, we drove a little over 2.5 million miles for the school year. This year, we're driving about 11,000, and payment in lieu is 80 students. Payment in lieu is they fall within the 30 minutes of transportation from their residence to the school of choice, but we fiscally can't afford it. So we pay parents to transport, which is a stipend of about $250. Our staffing, this has been a rough year for staffing. There is a shortage. Right now, we are doing great. We're trying to recruit drivers, but we currently have 180. There's 48 bus monitors, 6 mechanics. We generally have 7 mechanics. We had 1 leave in, I believe, October or November. We have a civil service test coming up for that position in February. Number of office clerks is 4. Number of route supervisors is 4. Substitute drivers is 17. Number of substitute bus aides 13, and substitute mechanics is 3. Our routes run, remember, routes are different than runs. Routes combine runs. So if you have 3 runs in the morning in elementary, middle school, high school, that would consider routes. But within that is 3 runs. So number of routes is 184. We currently have 4 open routes that we will hand off to substitutes near after the bidding process goes through. So probably in about a month. Number of runs is 1,066 for the whole day. Number of public runs is 723. Special ed is 229. Preschool is 25. Number of public runs, those are church groups like Trinity, St. Mary's, there are 71. And number of midday shuttle runs is 85. That has grown a little bit from that number that I gave to Sandy to put on this PowerPoint. We're helping the Career Academy a lot with labs. So we are doing a lot more shuttles, picking kids up. They're going 5 days a week at the Career Academy. So by the end of this, they will all get their certificate and be successful. Number of schools, this has been pretty interesting. Obviously in Southwestern, we have 30 public, 1 career tech, 6 preschools, 2 preschool inclusions, and special needs out of district is 12, charter schools 13, private schools are 8. It's been interesting because of the calendars. A lot of people have gone virtual, or they go hybrid, or they go 100%. So we are dealing with a lot of different calendars and trying to get through it. And our staff has done pretty good with trying to keep up with all the different needs. This is for the blended that we did this summer. So we decreased the number of riders on the bus. If you remember back in the day, we probably had 60 kids on a high school bus, maybe 65. We lowered that number to 2 per seat, which was 52. Then when you take the blended, that is half of those kids. So what we try to do was set up the blended so that when we go back to 100%, those routes don't change. Now, the problem I'm going to face is special needs, because some kids go 4 days a week, some kids go 2 days a week. So it's been very hands-on and changing the routes for them, but I still think it's doable if we ever go back 100%. So I'm pretty excited about that if we get a little heads up. Hand sanitizers, we put and you're going to see a picture of it. We put hand sanitizers on every single bus. They're right by the student entrance, so there's no reason they can't sanitize their hands. Drivers sanitize, and that little picture you see is kind of like something you'll see in a garden. I call it pump and spray. So when they're done with each run, they sanitize their bus from the back to the front. They use ventilations, and field trips are doing it. Shuttles, they're doing it. Runs, they're doing it. So those buses are getting disinfected every day. We have masks available. So far, we've used 6,000 masks, both kids masks and adult masks. Drivers will come to our window. They will pick up masks if they need them. We hand them to children who forget their mask. And our goal is when they get off the bus in the morning, they're all masked up, ready to go into the classroom. We deep clean every vehicle Wednesday and Friday nights with a misting machine. That's the top picture that you see. It's kind of like a carpet cleaner, and it's got a lot of power. So on Wednesday nights, we're doing all 208 buses with a deep clean mist, and on Friday nights. So it's getting sanitized by the driver and then getting deep cleaned on Wednesdays and Fridays. I want to give a big thank you to Grove City Christian. They changed their bell time for us so that we could stagger our buses in the high school. And it has worked out really well for us. Big thank you to them. Our preschool moved from 3 o'clock to 12 o'clock. So their afternoon preschool is going in on 2 days a week, and they're getting out at 12 o'clock instead of 3 o'clock. This has helped us because then we can use those drivers in other areas. I want to tell you, this year we have not had any late buses picking up kids. We will double up buses if we need, or double up a route with 2 different routes, or double up a bus with 2 different routes. And the bus is not overcrowded, kids have a seat, and teachers don't have to stay, and we're getting those kids home. So it's worked out pretty well. This picture is the hand sanitizer that we have on every single bus. So that's what the kids would use. They're going up the step, and they can sanitize their hands. With Monty Dieterman help, we got a grant, an EPA grant. If you remember back in the day, we got our first EPA grant was was about $380,000, and it was to retrofit some of the older buses so that they don't have the black smoke coming out of them. This grant is basically the same thing. It's $518,000 plus diesel mitigation trust fund. It targets buses from 94 to 2006. It covers 22.5% of the cost to replace a bus, and we have 23 buses identified to replace over the next 3 years with this grant. So again, big thank you to Monty Dieterman for getting this grant, and it's going to help us out a lot with the school buses and the environment. Our fleet statistics, you see there's 9 2004s, 14 2005s. Those are some of the buses that we have identified. You go all the way to 2021, we have 29 buses. So that's just kind of a outline of what we have. 84 transits, which is the snub nose, 78, 77 passenger, which is conventional, 465. Those are 2006 buses that will age out here before too long, and then all our buses will be 77, 78, or 84. Handicap buses with wheelchair lifts and to transport our children, 47. And then number of 25 passenger buses, that's the microbus I'm going to explain here in a minute, is 3. And then we have 4 vans. So the microbus is new this year. It's a cute little bus. It's gas powered, which is not like the rest of our buses. It is most of our buses, all of our buses, but these 3 are diesel. There is air conditioning in it, which is in the front of the drivers, not in the back where the kids sit. And it is very, very economy friendly. And it's helped us get into courts and smaller areas in the Columbus area where drivers have had trouble in the past. It's 275 horsepower. It weighs about 10,000 plus pounds. Fuel tank is about 25, and the capacity is 25 students. So what's really cool about this bus, it's kind of set up for handicap. This is kind of the new wave of school buses. You see seatbelt ready seats, and the picture on the left is a car seat that's embedded into the seat. And the picture on the right is that car seat being exposed where you would put a child with the harness into the car seats. So I'm pretty thrilled about that. We currently have old car seat, but if you can imagine moving them from bus to bus can be sometimes not fun. This is the wheelchair. So the bus still can take wheelchairs up to 3. And if you notice on the left, there is tracking, those metal that's sticking up. Those are actually called tracking. So we could remove the seat that's on the left and add another wheelchair spot if we would need to do that. So the seat would be removed. You could have 2 wheelchairs right there. So I'm really happy with this. We hope to purchase 3 more. The average cost of this bus is approximately 60,000, and has really done well for us in transporting preschool and special needs students. So a little bit of additional information. I am very proud to work with Food Service, who does a great job. In March, April, and May, we had about 60 volunteers that came in and set up bus stops and went out there and passed out lunches at different areas in our community. And then again in December, we did the same thing. CDL Clearinghouse, that was, I talked about it, I think a year ago, maybe 2 years ago to you. That is a database for all CDL drivers that will go follow them wherever they go. So if there was a infraction of alcohol test or a drug failure, that stays with them. So they can't go from one company to another company where before they could, and you would never know that they had some issue in the past. So we just finished that this year at the end of 2020. And we did a batch search that we have to do each year for every driver, and everybody came out great. Our hope is to have first time rider again in August. We kind of missed it this year. So God willing, the creek don't rise, we'll have first time rider again. If not, we may do something virtual so that the kindergarten kids can learn about school buses. So again, thank you very much for having me. This is my 14th year. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate your support. I can't say enough about administration. So with that said, any questions?
No, I got questions. The microbus, how
Yes,
often
sir.
buses?
I'm sorry, I cut you off. What'd you say?
How long are the microbuses, the length?
That is a good question. So have you seen the Coda mainstream buses, Mr.
Yeah.
Ragland?
Yes.
Okay, they're similar to that. I don't know the exact length, but they're mini, they're shorter. They're kind of like van size, but they have a big roof on them. So I was anxious to see how they do in winter. Today they did really well. I wasn't sure if they're top heavy, but drivers seem to love it. So yeah, it's a little bit smaller. I don't know the exact length, but a regular size bus is 40 and it's half of that.
About 20. And also horsepower, are these 6 cylinders or 8 cylinder engines?
There's 6.
And fuel injection port,
Fuel injection port.
well, is the fuel injected, I mean?
Yes. Yes.
And then also too, if it's fuel injection, you know the average mile per gallon?
I don't yet. I can get that for you.
And it is GVWR 10,000, so I'm assuming you need a CDL license, right?
Correct. And anybody that would drive a vehicle for us would need a CDL, but yes, you are correct.
And last question, brakes, are they air brakes or electric?
You know, I knew you were going to ask that question. They're hydraulic.
All right, thank you. That's
You're
why
welcome. I appreciate your questions, Mr. Ragland.
thank you. You do a fine job, sir.
I appreciate that.
That's all
Are there
right.
any other questions?
Mine is, I just have a comment, if I might, Madam President.
Go ahead.
Just as I always do each time, thank you for your wonderful service, and especially this past year, your partnership with our food service. Just really appreciate all that you both do. Just want to say that much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider.
Any other comments?
I was just, so to piggyback on Mr. Schreiner there, I also wanted to thank you so much for going above and beyond. And in addition to the food services, also just all of the sanitizing procedures that you do. It's really innovative stuff. We've had the opportunity to see some of these different systems that you're putting into place, and it's really keeping our students safe. So thank you for going above and beyond.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Other comments?
Yeah. Tim, just one quick question, staff question, really. How have you had to change your check-in, check-out procedures? I mean, we've all been out to the garage, you know, we know the big room that you have there where folks are used to doing it. How have you had to change that to keep your drivers and aides safe?
That's a great question. So basically, we took all the chairs out and the tables. They come in we call it the outdoor, but they come in a certain door. And then they get to their mailboxes, their keys, and then they come out by the office door. So there's an indoor and an outdoor. We got spacing all over the building so that they know to space. We on Wednesdays, we have a professional development meeting where the supervisors will talk to the drivers and we remind them about social distancing and mask. One of the things that's hard for a driver, Mr. Caldwell, is that they can't click together. You know, that's during the layover. They can vent, they can do whatever. So trying to get them so that they're not together, so that they don't get whatever sick or from another person. We try to remind them a lot. And the drivers have done really, really well. Appreciate all of them. They have stepped up. So yeah, it's not nice that, I mean, not nice. It's kind of what we have to do in the environment that we're in today. They used to walk through the mechanic shop too. We closed that, we locked those doors. So really they come in, get their stuff, go out to the buses and do their job.
Thank you. We all look forward to the day we can all have coffee and donuts back in the bullpen there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Cox. Look forward to hearing you next year.
Thank you, Madam President.
Okay, moving now to food service with Ms. Hamrick.
Good evening, President Johnson, Vice President Ragland, members of the board, Dr. Wise, and Mr. Garside. Thank you for having me this evening. As I piggyback off of Tim a little bit, it definitely has been a challenging year, but we have been doing everything that we can to get our students fed. So on that note, first and foremost, I do want to thank the amazing staff that I do have. Their hard work of what they've been doing to feed our students during this pandemic. I can't say enough. I told them at the beginning of the year that this was going to be a year that we needed to be flexible, and to say that we've had to pivot a lot to adjust to things is an understatement. So I'm super proud for the ladies in the office, and I'm super proud of the ladies in the kitchen that have been working really hard to get our students fed. So on that note, Christine Smith did retire at the end of December. So we do have a new assistant supervisor, Judy Riley. Judy Riley comes with an extensive amount of experience. She was at Pickerington Local Schools for the past 13 years as their supervisor, and she has already become a great asset to Southwestern. So I'm excited to be working with her. So starting the year out safely, I knew that I wanted to make the staff feel as safe as they could in the kitchens. So working with other districts and figuring out ways of some of the things that we could do to make our staff feel safe, and also the students coming through feeling safe, we had changed a few things. So the first thing was the cashier shields. So all the registers have a cashier shield that is a plexiglass that goes around, which then protects our cashiers as the students come through. We transitioned from pin pads to scanners. So that way we had a touchless effect, and that seems to be working out really well. So we did switch to do that. Floor stickers, we did put floor stickers down to keep that distance and the lines for the children that were coming through the line. We even had some put it on the serving line to kind of keep that distance for our students as well. And then containers and individually wrapped items, due to the health department's guidelines of what we needed to do, we did have to change the way that we served our food, as far as having it covered, especially if it was going to the classroom. So we did have to purchase a lot of individually wrapped items. Of course, you can guess that every district is looking for that as well. So we have run into some shortages here and there, but we have seemed to be able to make good substitutions. So remote distribution. So when we decided, the district went to remote, we decided on 15 school buildings that were going to stay open for parents to come and get meals there. And then again, yes, we did partner with transportation, and I can't tell you how wonderful they have been to work with. It's been a nice partnership with Tim and his crew. They worked really hard to find locations where we had the most neediest areas, and also finding those areas to put those buses to where we could have walkers. So if some could not get transportation, they could at least walk and get meals. So we did have 15 bus routes, and I can tell you that all the drivers that had worked with our staff were wonderful, and everybody was really there for one cause, and that was to feed our students, which was great. We did keep one kitchen as a satellite kitchen, that was Jackson Middle School, because Grove City High School did have a lot of participation. And so it made sense to have one kitchen work hard to get them extra meals in their kitchen. So that's worked out really well. We did do Monday and Wednesday distributions. And with that, we did Mondays, they would come and get 2 breakfasts and 2 lunch. And on Wednesday, they would get 3 breakfasts and 3 lunches. And then the last piece with that is with winter break meals. So on the seamless summer option, you are able to serve meals on days that school might typically not be open, like holidays or breaks. So we decided to do an extra serving over winter break to cover that week before the Christmas holiday. So our kitchens were very busy. I'm proud to say that we served over 20,000 meals out of our kitchens that day, which was very exciting for us. So I was happy that we were able to do that. So blended learning, at the beginning of the school year, I did work with the executive directors, especially with elementary. We were trying to find safe ways to bring the students through the lines. And I kind of left it up to my head cooks to work with their principals to feel, as they're building, what did they feel was the safest to be able to serve the meals. So we do have some buildings that the kids do come through the line. We do have some buildings where certain grades come through the line. And we do have some buildings where we prepare the meals and the aides come down and pick up the meals, and they do take them to the classrooms. So along that line, we also do a VLA pickup for our virtual students. We do a one day pickup for them. They will get a week's worth of meals. So it's 5 breakfasts and 5 lunches. At the beginning of the school year, we did do a Monday night pickup. And when January came, it was kind of the time to make some changes if we wanted to kind of make some changes because of how, we felt like we needed to make an adjustment. So we did make that adjustment to have the VLA pickup be on Wednesdays now during the week. So our kitchens are really great at working with our families. So if it becomes an issue that a parent can't pick up that day or at the time that we have, then we do have our kitchens work with those parents and make sure to get the meals for them. So they've been great at that. Blue and green groups. So meals go home with the students when they're on remote learning days. So when they're in the buildings, of course, they would eat breakfast or lunch with us. We do prepare meals for them to go home for the 3 days that they're remote learning, or if the calendar gets adjusted and it's only 2 days, or sometimes we do 4 days. It just depends on how the calendar works for the school calendar. But we do send meals home with them, and those are given to the students at the end of the school day. We tried to find the best way for those meals to go home, knowing that some of our families may struggle with transportation and picking up meals. We wanted to be able to continue to serve our students. So we decided to work with transportation and have the meals go home with the students on the school bus at the end of the day. And speaking with Tim, we seem to not have had any issues with that, which I know it can be a little cumbersome to carry some of the meals home for the kids, but it seems to be working well. So that's how we prepare those meals to go home on blended. So meal ordering, at the beginning of the school year, Infinite Campus came out with an ordering system online where parents could pre-order the meals, but they would have to go in every week and order those meals, which if you didn't remember by the deadline, it kind of became an issue, but we always, again, worked with the parents to be able to serve those meals. Then the cooks would receive a list off of Infinite Campus of what meals to prepare, so they knew what meals were going home with what students. And listening to the parents, and also seeing how some other districts did it that might work a little bit better, we decided in January to change it to an opt-in form. It was a Google form that we put on the food services website, where the parents just opt in for meals. So they fill out one for each of the students in the household. They give their basic information, email, good contact number, and then their student's name, what school they go to, and what group they are a part of. And at that point, then that information gets to our staff to prepare the meals. But I think it's an easier route for our families, just because they just opt in once, and when they don't want the meals anymore, they just let us know and we opt them out. So it's not something they have to remember to do every week. And if there's ever any language barriers or anything, it's kind of nice that this is just one easy way for them to sign up for meals, which is so far has been going really well. So with all I mentioned earlier about pivoting, so I will say with all the changes and the pivoting that we have had to do, it is really important to get that communication out to our families. I can't say enough for how wonderful Sandy and Meredith have been in communications. The phone calls that I've made to them to please help to design things for our parents to be able to get that information out to them. Ed Kennedy has been wonderful in his crew with things that I've needed translated, again, to get out to our families. But these are just some of the some of the ways that we've gotten out. We've done social media flyers. So the one that you see here was the one that we did over in December. And this is probably my favorite one. I mean, it just was very clear on where our food distribution sites were, on the buses, what school buildings were open. It just turned out really nice. We also sent out some parent emails through Infinite Campus. I had some information posted on the parent portal. We did posters. You know, we put signs, had signs created at the sites. We also put banners on our buses. So we just really tried to think of every route that we could to get out to our families to let them know about picking up meals. So any questions?
President, I had a quick question. First of all, as we said with Tim, I just want to echo to you as well, the amount of logistics and things that you have had to put into, as you said, being flexible is just incredible. And you've done a wonderful job. So thank you so much for just your commitment to feeding our kids. I was curious on the VLA students. You said that they pick up their meals on Wednesdays. Is that at every building or a certain time, or?
Every building. So every building from 12 to 1 on Wednesdays is what we have for the meal.
Okay, on the day that it's closed. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I will say on the sanitizing side of things, you know, our kitchens, you know, we are held to high standards because of the health department of how we have to maintain our kitchens and the cleanliness that we do. But our kitchens do an amazing job. And I will tell you that even Judy Riley coming in as a new person and coming into our kitchens and you know, meeting our staff, can't get over how nice and clean our kitchens are. So I will say that I'm very proud of how well we keep our kitchens clean, especially during a time like this. So.
Okay,
Madam President.
go ahead, Mr. Caldwell.
Thanks, Ms. Hammer, for being here. You know, food security is obviously a huge concern for students in our district, and just the work that your team has done, the seamless integration between you and transportation and our district staff. I mean, we just can't applaud you enough. I keep seeing little claps by Lee and Kathy in the background too. I mean, we're just all so proud of this team. You're a shining example of how this district delivers for its students, even in the face of a global pandemic, and we thank you. On the point that you just made though about health and safety, again, just like I asked Tim, what kind of precautions are we taking with staff, temperature checks, gloves, masks, that kind of thing, to make sure that they're safe at work and also that the meals that they're preparing are safe for our students?
So I will say that they are required to wear their masks when they are in the kitchen. Well, alone, just at work, they're required to wear their masks. They're still required to keep the 6 feet as much as they can in the kitchen. Obviously, when we're on remote and there's more space, they can spread out more in the cafeteria. But they, you know, washing their hands, changing out gloves, all those are continued things that they continue to do with the addition of keeping that 6 feet and also wearing their masks. So as far as temperature checks, that is not something we do because I believe that's not something required by the district.
Okay, well, thank you so much. It's been very informative, and we greatly appreciate the fact that our students are able to get fed even when they're not in our buildings.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have items for action on the agenda. Personnel, Mr. Ragland.
Thank you, President Johnson. On the board agenda this evening are 7 personnel items involving 83 persons. This includes 9 certificated and administrative resignations, 1, certificated change in employment status. 65, certificated employments. 6, classified resignations. 2, classified changes in employment status. And 1 recommendation to approve the 21-22 and 22-23 master calendars and calamity day contingency plans. And after review of these items, I do recommend them for passage.
Okay, we need a second.
Second, Anthony Caldwell.
Thank you. Questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Donofrio,
Yes.
Mr. Shriner,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Next on the agenda, we have board items. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Ragland, second.
Ragland motion.
You
Motion.
made it.
Okay.
I'll second.
We got Ragland and then Donofrio.
Sorry about that.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
Mr. Donofrio.
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell,
Yes.
Shriner,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes. Thank you all for attending tonight's meeting, and thanks again for the 2 presentations. We do look forward to those. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, David.